Next, we have in line a great panel discussion. So who all are ready for a panel discussion and ready to ask the moderator and the speakers for the question answers? Who is up for the panel discussion? Can I see those hands? Who is up for a panel discussion? I see few at the back. Not everyone? Why so? Don't you think a panel discussion in somewhere where almost like 4 or 5 pioneers of the industry get together, ask each other's question, discuss and debate on a particular topic. So don't you think that panel will be quite insightful and you'll get to learn? Who agrees on this note? Who agrees with me? Can I see those hands? Still few. I guess not everybody is ready for the panel discussion, but let me tell you, this panel is going to be great for everyone. As I mentioned, we are going to have a great list of panelists along with our moderators who are going to run through you with the topic, Digitalized Hire to Retire, Empower and Elevate the Frontline Workforce. So before we start, as I mentioned before, after the break, during the break, not after the break, during the break, you can have a look on the entire range of the cars, as I mentioned, by Mahindra and MG. They have test drives also. And we have one more point over there that you can collect a small token of appreciation from Team Evans as well. When you go for the test drive, they'll give you a small gift from Team Evans. So do check out that as well. He had already given a great presentation, Mr. Pravin Agarwala, co-founder and group CEO, BetterPlace. Let me introduce him once again for the people who have just joined us. Mr. Pravin Agarwala is a co-founder and group CEO of BetterPlace, Asia's largest SaaS platform for frontline workforce management. With over 20 years of experience in SaaS and cloud strategy, Praveen is dedicated to revolutionizing the blue-collar industry and improving the lives of frontline workers. So following will be the panelist for the discussion. Mr. Praveen Purohit, VP and DY, Group CHRO, Vedanta Resources Limited, followed by Ms. Shefali Tomar, VP People and Culture, CK Birla Hospital, Ms. Amrita Singh, Head HR, Denso 10 Uno Minda, Mr. Aayush Sharma, Head of Learning and Development, Honda Cars India Limited, Ms. Reema Sharma, Divisional Head, HR, APMEA, Apollo Tyres Limited. So with this, once we are done, I would request everyone, please be seated throughout the panel discussion, and later on you can ask all the panelists along with our moderators with a Q&A while the break is going on so that they can fulfill all your questions. And as I said before, this panel discussion is going to be fruitful by the end of the day. That's a guarantee. And with this, can we have our moderator for the session over the stage? Mr. Pravin Agarwala. With a huge round of applause, everyone. Again, thank you so for joining and giving your precious time here today. So with that, can we have the panelists, as I mentioned, can we invite them over the stage with a huge round of applause? Mr. Praveen Purohit, Ms. Shefali Tomar, Ms. Amrita Singh, Mr. Aayush Sharma, last but not least, Ms. Reema Sharma. A louder, energetic applause, everyone. I'm going to make you exercise your hands throughout the day. Thank you. So, Mr. Praveen, over to you.
Hello. So, good morning once again. It's a pleasure to be here with this amazing panel. Most of the time, I end up answering questions as well on what do you do and this and that. I feel so privileged that I get the chance to ask all the questions today. So thank you so much for this opportunity. When we look at Frontline, right, I spoke about it a little bit already, but if you look at Frontline, I started my career with SAP, and I worked at SAP for 18 years, and I was heading cloud ERP for SME globally for SAP. And at that time, we realized that everything that we build, we largely focus on white collar, the skilled workforce, the knowledge workforce as we used to call, right? And from an HRMS point of view, of course. And when we looked into the front line, the blue collar, we felt that there is a kind of, it's not a systematic, but it's neglected in some sense or the other, and there was nothing really existing. And every organization end up using Excel, Google Forms, pen and paper, attendance is done on register or biometric, not talking to payroll, learning and development is not there, and so on and so forth. And today, when you look at the size of the frontline workforce, right? India is already 550 million blue-collar workers. Out of that, roughly 155 million people are in frontline workforce, which is formal or semi-formal. If you take informal, that's north of 300 million, not taking into account the agriculture sector. And this is growing, right? The 155 million will go to 220 million by 28, 29. And there's a study by McKinsey, which came out just 2 weeks back, that by 2030, 70% of the jobs growth, I'm not talking about the percentage of job, which is always frontline anyways, but the jobs growth will also happen in frontline, right? And this brings my first question to Aayush. Looking at this size, Aayush, which is already 500 million plus and growing almost on a daily basis, right? And there is a lot of movement happening from informal to formal and so on and so forth. In your mind, how do you see, because most of the time they are somewhere in the factory, in the retail, and all the practices that we talk about, we build the culture, largely we end up doing for our knowledge workers, and we sometimes miss them out, right? Not that every organization does that, but we tend to miss it out, right? In your mind, Aayush, how do you see this going forward as an organization? What would be your suggestion to the audience here?
First of all, it's amazing to be here. Thank you so much. I think it's a great question. I firmly believe a strong front line leads to a great bottom line for any organization, because these are the employees who form the majority of the workforce. They are the ones who are responsible for giving that great experience to the customers and the end users, which ultimately decides whether the brand is going to be a success or not. And over the past few years, we have seen that the frontline workforce, despite being the majority of the workforce, their needs are not being met. So for an example, I mean, we can talk about learning to begin with. If I come up with any learning initiative, or my team comes up with any learning initiative for a white-collar employee, so it is seen as an investment, but for a frontline workforce, it is seen as an expense. So I believe that mindset needs to change, because if they do not learn, they do not grow, and if they do not grow, the business does not grow. So it is imperative we actually see things from their perspective and ensure their learning needs are being met. I really like the fact when you talked about during your address, you talked about attrition. So it is important we give them that great onboarding experience, because the infant attrition is very high among the frontline workforce. So if we can give them a great onboarding experience, so I think it will go a long way in building that connect, that sense of belongingness with the organization, which will help them, again, stay with the organization for a long time. So besides these things, I think if we can also give them a greater sense of autonomy, we can also give them increased flexibility. This is something the conversation needs to revolve around going ahead among organizations if we really want to give them a great experience, the frontline workforce, that is. Thank you.
No, this is great. So in principle, if we can bring the gap down, it could help us to move forward and kind of think in the same way as a mindset. And you want to add something to that?
Yes, I would also like to mention the burnout issues among the frontline workforce are at an all-time high. So as an organization, as a business leader, it is imperative that we are also looking at the workforce schedules as well, the workforce arrangements rather, so that the burnout issues they're actually not going over the roof in going ahead.
Absolutely, and especially in the gig economy, it becomes even harder at times.
Absolutely.
So that leads me to the second question, Reema, for you, which is kind of just building on top of what Aayush just said. Uh, Now, when I look at frontline workforce as well, right, they do not see most of the time brand attached. When I worked with SAP, I said I work with SAP, and I take pride in saying that, right, that I'm there and I moved to this one and so on. Most of the frontline also sees this as a job where I earn and I have a living and go to the next one, but there's no value that I see as a loyalty, brand, and so on and so forth. And we see a gap because of that, how we also treat your knowledge workers versus your frontline, right? In your mind, why do you think that kind of mindset is there? One is from workforce point of view, and the other is more from HR leaders' point of view. What they should do to make this shift within an organization or in the mind of people?
Thank you so much. I think that's a very interesting question, and luckily I am heading the the workforce, the frontline workforce in Apollo Tyres. I look after the entire field in head office, HR business partner role, and I can correlate with this question. So after the COVID, we all were seeing in our organization the heavy resignation, specifically in the frontline workforce, and our Great Place to Work survey was, the kind of score was also dipping down when it comes to the frontline workforce. So these were the two problem statements we were facing in. And when we really start doing the conversation with them, doing the surveys with them, focus group discussions, and we realize this is one of the area, the communication gap with them. So as a company, we decided to have one strategy at place that how we can bridge that gap. So what we understand that these employees were not aware what is happening around the organization because they are sitting in the field. They are sitting at the tier 3, tier 4 cities vis-a-vis other people, whether it is manufacturing-based people or HO-based people, the head office-based people, they are sitting closer to the management. And hence they are prone to get the news, what is happening inside the organization, what is happening around the product, what is happening around the brand. So that the communication gap is clearly, one of the reasons they feel disconnected, they feel, they don't see the future here, or whenever there any opportunity coming with a hike of about, 25, 30, they feel this is more important and they would like to move on. So we created a lot of channels starting from what is happening around the zone. So we created small communications around zone, wherein the zonal head, or we call here SBU head, the strategic business unit head, they started having conversation with the team member in the smaller group. We started doing town halls with them. We created a lot of intranet channels wherein they will understand what is happening. And also we, from the senior management, we requested if we can send a common mailer to all the employees, irrespective whether they are in frontline or in HO, speaking about the results of the organization, whether it is quarterly results, annual results, what is happening, who is joining in the organization, in the management, change in the board of directors, so that the last milestone feel important, that yes, it is important for me and I am being equally valued in the organization. With all these kind of, work we have done, putting up more technology for doing the communication with them, more transparency, more performance-oriented culture, creating some differentiated increment grid for this set of people, we were able to bridge the gap what we were facing in the, after the COVID specifically. And thanks to our, the employees' feedback and everything, we were able to achieve 9-point score increase in the frontline workforce. So that's how, this is one of the case study for us. We put up as a problem statement, and we really worked hard, me and my entire HR business partner team who are working in field. And we were able to get the result only because we were able to hear them. And sometimes the patient's listening is that what they need. We may not do anything, we may do everything or we may not do anything. It's just that first they need some ears to listen, that this is my problem. These are the policies you are introducing, but it's nowhere linking with me. So when we were hearing all these concerns and we were going back to the head office and, understanding what we can do in this year, what we can do in next financial year, we just plotted something and then we went back to them again during the conferences and said that this is what you said, this is what we have done. And this helped us to build their, trust, to gain their trust, and we were able to achieve, at least their satisfaction level. We are not saying that we are still at the highest level, but again, we are able to come back to the top 100 auto components company. That's at least the first glory we were able to achieve. However, we were in top 100 as an organization. Overall organization, that's another, the milestone we have to achieve. So it's a big journey, but yeah, that's how we were doing it.
That's fantastic. I think there's one point that I take away very clearly is the transparency in communication. And one of the things that we realized when we spoke to many organizations is that there are no role models, right? When I'm in a knowledge worker, I have a role model that I would like to be like Pravin sir or you and others who join newly. But there, they just come in and they just go. There is no role model, and that's because there is no communication, no showcasing, and so on and so forth. That's a very fantastic point. Shefali, if I may come to you, there are two things that I see happening right now from India context point of view. Number one is we are moving towards a $5 trillion economy, and one of the studies done in last 3 months, BCG and others were involved in that, that almost 900 to a trillion will come from movement within the frontline ecosystem. And that is also added by the China plus one, where the manufacturing is moving from China to India. So my question to you, Shefali, is when you see this kind of growth happening, right, within multiple sectors, countries moving forward, there is also scale happening within your own organization, right? Might be you're doing, let's say, 100 or 10,000 employees today, it will become 15,000 and 20,000 and so on, and across the landscape as well. In your view, how do you see or what the organization should do to manage this massive scale that we foresee within the country and within a specific organization? What kind of skilling, upskilling, what kind of tools so that you can actually smoothly run this growth?
All right, thanks. I think I'll take a bit to explain that I belong to a healthcare business, and in healthcare, the front line is not limited to the outsourced.
Correct.
The care providers, which we have, which nursing, paramedic staff, and a lot of front office, housekeeping, and everything. This just encompasses in our frontline segment, and the work which we do is quite robotic. Okay, it's an empathetic sector, but the work which we do is very robotic, and to maintain that consistency of experience, as all the panelists and speakers were speaking about, that if you have a happy employee, it brings you happy customers, and for us, it's happy patients. Now, when you look at the scalability, I think in healthcare business, of course, we are looking at that there's so much of advent of foreign investments. We're also looking at that there's so many acquisitions and mergers that are happening, and that's where the nuances of giving those employee experience and usage of these technology really comes into play. We have seen ourselves, we are the youngest offshoot of this 150-year-old CK Birla group. We are CK Birla Healthcare, we are the youngest offshoot, it's just our 7th year running. Our services and our healthcare business is focusing only on service, and thus the role of the frontline workforce is huge. The global trend, which you, Praveen, were speaking about, is true that there is a huge, great, what we call as a front office disconnect, where the managers, the frontline managers, are not able to support their frontline workers that well, and that is also a biggest reason of that attrition. So, and the paradigm shift in looking at not hiring but retaining your resources, because that is skill when inventory is very important for organizations to keep, otherwise you'll not be able to really retain and sustain the kind of talent or the skill which you need to make your workforce future fit. So those are the huge trends which we need to look after, and in our setup, I think the core was that ensuring that our employee happiness remains the core, irrespective of whatever adaptability we are going ahead with the technology changes. So I think we started with the use of an AI platform for our employee experience. This does not only just takes the annual employee surveys or pulse surveys, it captures your regular moods and emotions, okay? So if I'm unhappy or I had a tough day today, this tool comes to you, say in their own tenure bucket of 15, 30, 45 days or 90 days, it comes to you and talks to you, and you can share your thoughts over it. These thoughts then, get into a thematic presentation for us, and that which AI does for us, and it helped a lot of our HR BPs to then to talk to their employees, work on focused areas where we really need to work upon. I think this bit, which we have done for now 3 years running, we've been able to, I think we are the first youngest organization to get great places to work for ourselves. We have been there with our, I think we have the highest scorer in terms of our employee happiness scores. And very happy to say that the bottom pyramid is the happiest, I would say. So I think that really makes a lot of sense, because working on things which really improvises my experience as an employee is very important. From a pre-hiring experience to till I exit, and I'm saying exit only because that's the reality. We rarely have people who retire, but we do in hospitals. In our legacy hospitals, we do have people who retire, but I think with the attrition numbers and the kind of Gen Z population we hire at our bottom pyramid, we do have a lot of attrition. But again, it's a happy number that we've moved, I think, industry. I think in the healthcare business, we are the lowest attrition in terms of our nursing manpower. The front office manpower, I think we've been doing pretty well there. And a lot of these touch points which we've been able to create from pre-hiring to exit, we've been able to do well there. In terms of answering through a technology frame, I think I am looking at that with the scalability, the question which you were asked, I think we need to move to a stage where, platforms like this can help us in doing speed interviewing. Recruiter do not has to really spend time on parsing resumes and just making some decisions, rather than looking at more dedicated and focused attention towards what is the kind of people we require. From a hiring standpoint, to the person, when he reaches to his skilling level, if we know that what skill I was hired for, how I have been progressing, that really makes my life easier to define my own individual learning path. And thus the ownership of having my own growth is not left to the employer, but I also co-owning it. And those platforms are available in the market, which probably employers and the companies can really look forward. The only thing is, as a company, it is very essential for us is to be very focused what I really want. Okay. What are those productive matters? What are those matrices which I'm really working on? And then you really focus on things like that. Besides this, if you look at rewards and recognition, if you say there are peer-to-peer notifications which can go. I might not have to sit for HR to conduct a monthly setup to nominate anybody, but yes, if I feel that the person has gone above and beyond, I just notify the person and say that you've done a very well, good job. So I think those are certain points which probably a AI platform or a technology platform can help. And as I always believe in, the human in the human resources need to be accentuated. And digital platforms really help you to really give you those arms and ammunition. I think that's what.
No, that's fantastic, Shefali. Thanks for bringing that up. I think one of the key points that I could take away is how do you create technology that behaves like a human and interacts with the individual. But that also brings me to the other question, Amrita, to you. When we are building this technology, right, and all this started with work from home, where people were working while the frontline unfortunately can't do work from home, the employee engagement became a big issue, right? And we used all kinds of technology and everything was fantastic, but then there was a human touch missing, right? And now when we look at frontline, right, and we are talking about technology and which is the right thing to do and this is what we do, so we also believe it's the right thing to do. But do you see that will also create a kind of big gap between management and large frontline workforce, where they already feel disconnected and it might feel more disconnected? Or you think actually the disconnection will reduce quite a bit because you can create that experience that you are not able to do because of manpower involved today, right? What's your take on that?
A beautiful, okay. Am I audible? Okay. A beautiful question. Thank you for posing it that way, because it makes my job easy, and of course my worthy panelists have also hinted at that already. I'll just start with an example, okay? And you mentioned COVID times. I'm talking to a vice president, and I'm, as HR, sharing my insights on employee engagement. We had an Infido tool, and we were going to do a presentation on how people are feeling. And I started the discussion, and I asked her, how are you? And there was an awkward silence. And 3-4 seconds later, she says, why are you not starting? I said, because I was waiting for you to tell me how you're doing. And she said, this is the first time somebody has done that. And this is a senior person in the hierarchy. She's vice president. Now just imagine if that is how a vice president is feeling. How are your frontline workforce feeling? I am a very strong proponent of tech is basically there to supplement human interactions. It is not there to replace them. How many of us, would choose to talk to a customer service operator rather than actually doing a quicker job of dialing multiple options? We always do that, right? Any banking transaction, any credit card transaction, at least I do that. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to find that human face in everything that we're trying to do. And a couple of things, actually the human face you talked about, everything is good, every automation, every digitalization is good, but you have to ensure there is a human angle to it, a human face to it, where people can go. Please remember, as the World Economic Forum, there's a study which says there's a 50% skill gap all around the world. Where we are in terms of technology and where we are headed to, we are really not there. So just remember that this is a workforce who does not have too many opportunities. They also have to be upskilled, trained, and so that they don't fear the technology. That is one. Two, please ensure, and like Reema also mentioned, you have those forums for a two-way feedback. Communication has to be kept, communication channels have to be two-way, and you have to ensure that you do away with the whole phobia of what will happen to us. There is, I have worked with IT, I've worked with infrastructure and manufacturing. The word layoff looms large. And the tech advancement is extremely rapid. So people have a fear in their minds, and people are not up to date with the technology. So what we need to do, we really need to sit them down, we really need to talk to them, hear them, like Reema said, I love that word, and definitely also create those opportunities for that feedback to happen. That's what I wanted to add. Thank you.
Fantastic. I think skilling will become a big topic. Might be we take another session sometime. We'll speak more about it. But that's a very important thing. There are two things common between me and Vedanta and Pravinji. My first name is common, and my last name is same as Anil Agarwalji. So it's a privilege to be talking to you. If I look at a large organization like Vedanta today, right, and as a group, Deputy CHRO, you're not dealing only with one division, multiple divisions. Every division might be having their own set of challenges. And there are many organizations who have different, like your organization in DCM, you have multiple branches, multiple divisions. We just started with one of them now. In such a situation, right, why do you think in the absence of technology platform which is focused on frontline, be it the entire CLMS, which is contract labor, or HRMS, or learning solution, you will not be able to deliver as per your expectation?
No, thank you so much, Praveen. I think, first of all, I'm very happy that, I attend so many panel discussion conferences which happens in NCR and, metro locations. But happy that we have, we have done away with that strategic HR role and all those kind of topic, and we are spending time on frontline workforce, which is the most important topic if we are talking about 5 trillion economy. It is the topic in case if we are thinking of, India to become a kind of top 3 in the kind of, economy what we are talking about. And a beautiful set of panel who comes from the diverse background, they have their own perspective, but the way you rightly said, at Vedanta, maybe if I can give you some perspective, majority of my time, I think 70 to 80% of my time today I am spending on this topic. And for the simple reason that 100,000 people, those who are with me in Vedanta group across 70 locations, 80,000 of them, they are the frontline. They are the business partner. And if I am not able to concentrate on this 80,000 people, I think I will have all kind of challenges as we, try to attain the vision of $100 billion company, which is we are at about $30 billion company now. And can you believe the way you rightly said, our chairman, our vice chairman, Mr. Anil Agarwal, the time what we are spending in this particular area, it's so much. And for that to be very successful, I think technology will play a very, very big role. Because of the sheer fact that the size, the scale, the volume what you have, if you are not able to provide the experience what these people need, I think, you will not be able to achieve the vision what you have. And I can give you some of the examples. I was just listening to your presentation in the morning and you so beautifully said that आज की तारीख में हमको ये भी नहीं मालूम पड़ता है कितने लोग अंदर आ रहे हैं. Counting of those people is so difficult. When you have 10,000 people entering through, some of the gates of your factory locations, leave apart the experience what you want to provide to them. And I'm very happy that today you have the high quality business partners. There are firms which has come into picture and who can provide you some solutions around basics. And we have come to a stage where we have basics in place. But now, if you want to extract value out of it, the way you so rightly said that they are not able to relate to any brand, I think for that we will have to give them experience right from the beginning. Are you including them? I heard some of the panel saying कि communication ही नहीं पहुंच पाती है. This is the so basic. Can you believe if the people, those who are running the main operation of your organization, अगर आपके company का vision जो है, what you want to achieve, if that is not going to them, how can you expect them to, add value to the level what you are expecting, in a very different way? And for that to happen, I think it's a big challenge. And let me tell you, I work day on day, day in, day out on this topic. Still, we are very far from the reality. Can we have all of them included right from the time? Are they part of your innovation cell, innovation hub, where what we provide to all IITs and IIMs and GETs and so on and so forth? But the people, those who are working on machine, they are working on ground. Believe me, nas unke paas hai. They exactly know that if we touch this particular topic, it will have impact of $1 million. And if we are able to achieve that, I think, majority of the problem is solved. Whether it is you provide them a kind of platform, how you can bring them into the technology front. Do they have access to this? That itself is a big challenge I am seeing today. Some of my small locations probably would have 1,000 people in frontline. And in some of the big locations, I have 10,000 people. But the challenge is, do I have that awareness? Do I have that platform access for them where they can come forward? Just one example to share with you. I think what we have done with our 20,000 people, those who are on the direct role and so on and so forth. But for these people also, we have started 24/7 talent search digital platform. Even these people, if they want to come up the ladder, if they want to grow in their career, if they want to, be part of the reward and recognition, do you provide them that digital platform available? We created something very unique, and we believe if you focus on them, majority of your things, what you have as part of your vision will be taken care of. And they are the most important people, most important set of categories who will help you in achieving your ultimate objective, to my mind, Praveen.
Oh, this is fantastic. I think there are 2-3 key takeaways that I have. Instead of going into specific points. Number one, 5 years back, 7 years back, Frontline was a topic on the back burner. Today is right in front, and everyone, and it's a pleasure to hear from all of you that this is a very critical topic, and you are focusing even more. Second is, technology is the only way to solve it, and technology adoption is happening, but there is more technology adoption has to happen. Third is that when we are doing it, we have to keep the value for that individual in our mind in terms of learning, growing, communication, brand loyalty, and so on and so forth. If that happens, the company also grows. So it's not only about managing them efficiently, because if that is done, then companies' financial goals can be achieved better as well. So these are the three key takeaways for me. If you have a question, room for a question or no. So thank you so much for your lovely insights, and thanks so much everyone for listening to us.
So with this, everyone, can we give them a huge round of applause? Thank you for your precious time, and please be with us. We have a small token of appreciation for everyone, and I request our moderator, sir, please can you provide them with a token of appreciation? Can we have the gifts, please?